Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you're doing well. We're continuing our reading of Friedrich Nietzsche's Thus Spoke Zarathustra book, and it is very witty, and I find it quite entertaining actually. And so we are still in the section that was titled Flies of the Marketplace. Let us continue there. Go ahead and listen to this as you're relaxing on your porch, stargazing, bird watching, drinking some tea, whatever fun thing it is that you're doing. Hope actually I used my black pen for the last section, so I'll use a different color. You are no stone, but you have already become hollow from many drops. You will yet burst from many drops. I see you wearied by poisonous flies. Wearied by poisonous flies. Bloody in 100 places, and your pride refuses even to be angry. Now that's a unique one. Your pride refuses to be angry, so you really lost your fire, essentially. Blood is what they want from you in all innocence. Their bloodless souls crave blood, and so they sting in all innocence. But you, deep one, suffer too deeply even from small wounds. And even before you have healed, the same poisonous worm crawls over your hand. So we're getting a lot of potent language here. Bloodless souls craving blood. So they want to feed on you. They want to sting you. They want to hurt you. But it also says here that you're deep and you suffer deeply, but even from small things. Almost sounds like somebody hasn't learned how to have thicker skin, to kind of let certain wounds go off of them like water on duck feathers. And then it also points out, even before you've healed, another one comes to kind of feed on you again. So it just really brings in this sort of reoccurringness of it all. You are too proud to kill these greedy creatures, but beware, lest it become your downfall that you suffer all their poisonous injustice. Too proud to kill these greedy creatures, so because he's holding his hand back, symbolically and literally, it can actually lead to the downfall. You're not rooting out the problem, you're not dealing with it. You're kind of just passing and letting it cause more problems. They hum around you with their praise too. Obtrusiveness is their praise. They want the proximity of your skin and your blood. They flatter you as a god or devil. Now this is interesting. They hum around you with their praise. Really makes you see that advisors can be really sickly. If it's not the right people giving you the advice, not the right people to have as a friend or an ally or an acquaintance, they're floating around you. Flies do have that kind of hum, but also the murmuring of people gossiping, the murmuring, the whispers of people in others' ears. The movement of people can almost be like a hum. It's really getting into a multi-layered example to kind of really expand your mind into how that scene would be of people praising you and giving you flattery as if you're something special. And this also shows how the person is receiving that mass petting, oh, you're this, oh yes, oh yeah, but like they're just laying it on. And for what reason? Right? They whine before you as before a god or devil. What does it matter? They are flatterers and whiners and nothing more. So this is another thing. Those who flatter and those who want to hear the flattery have a really deep problem. Truly. You gotta watch out. Somebody who constantly wants their ego struck and stroked is pretty odd. More self-deluded, an egomaniac, a narcissist, a manic type of person who is so insecure that they need to constantly encourage people to flatter them and let others see that they enjoy flattery. Nothing wrong with a compliment, but it can definitely get out of hand, I'd say. Often they affect charm. Yeah, that's true. But that has always been the cleverness of cowards. That's true. Yeah. How many times have you seen, like, excuse me, some of the most sneaky, wormy type of people flatter and use charm in order to kind of get their word in edgewise? Indeed, cowards are clever. Yeah, people kind of forget that. They think a lot about you with their petty souls. You always seem problematic to them. Everything that one thinks about a lot becomes problematic. They punish you for all your virtues. They forgive you entirely your mistakes. Because you are gentle and just in disposition. You say they are guiltless in their small existence, but their petty soul thinks guilt is every great existence. Even when you are gentle to them, they still feel despised by you. Now, this is interesting. Even when you are gentle to them, they still feel despised by you. So you can, I've heard people complain about that. They've helped people, and then the people whom they helped despise them for helping them. I always thought that was a weird paradox, but I have heard people complain of that. So you can't help people who don't want to help themselves, and some people, you help them with too much charity, they start to resent you like you're taking them as on a petty cause, like you're insulting their dignity. You know, not everybody wants to be a beggar or wants to accept charity, and then they despise you for helping them. And they return your benefaction with hidden malefactions. That's true. They can return your favor, your kindness, with malice, with bad things. As the saying goes, no good deed goes unpunished, right? Your silent pride always runs counter to their taste. They are jubilant if for once you are modest enough to be vain. Modest enough to be vain. That's a kind of paradoxical statement there. That which we recognize in a person, we also inflame in him. Ooh. That which we recognize in a person, we also inflame in him. You recognize some type of anger. You recognize it because it became inflamed. When something flames up, it becomes more noticeable. So if you ignited something in them, it becomes more noticeable, so you are able to recognize it. Yeah. Therefore, beware of these small creatures. Before they feel small. Oh, I see. Before you they feel small, and their baseness glimmers and glows in invisible revenge. Ooh. Before you they feel small, and their baseness glimmers and glows in invisible revenge. So, they're intimidated by you. They feel insecure in themselves, and they have this invisible revenge that you may not see. This sort of silent pride running against them makes them more upset. It's kind of like that stereotype of the gamma, the whiny gamma who is envious of the alpha. Very unique. Have you not noticed how often they became mute when you stepped among them? And how their strength went from them like smoke from a dying fire? Ah, yes. Yes. That's unique. When you come in and they stop talking. Some say you halt out of speaking out of respect. Others because there's a saying, right? Like, oh, speak of the devil. And then people will be talking, and then they're talking about somebody, and then that person shows up, and they're like, oh, speak of the devil, and then they stop. So when he talked about they see you as a god or as a devil, that's an interesting point, because If someone great steps in the room, people can stop talking. Someone they hate steps in the room, they stop talking. So you don't know why they stop talking. I think if people just continue on, there's a nuanced thing where you know you're kind of in better standing. Indeed, my friend, you are the bad conscience of your neighbors, for they are unworthy of you. They hate you, therefore, and would like to suck your blood. Your neighbors will always be poisonous flies. That which is great in you, just that must make them more poisonous and more like flies. So your neighbors will always be poisonous flies. They're keeping up something, right? Keeping up with the Joneses, those who are kind of always looking out your window, staring at your house in envy. There's always some irritating thing they do to make you uncomfortable, kind of like an annoying fly. But as a Muslim, we're supposed to try to be good neighbors, have reconciliation, peace in the neighborhood, high trust communities. You want that kind of atmosphere. But I can totally see how when you're in cramped cities and there's just too many people, you don't got time to make all the connections with everyone. It's quite different than the slow moving lifestyle in rural areas, right? Where you might, say hi to people passing by. It's more open and friendly. But in the city, it's like, get out of my way, I got places to be. And they see each other kind of as flies. That which is great in you, just like that, must make them more poisonous and more like flies. Flee, my friend, into your solitude, and where the air is raw and strong. It is not your lot to shoot flies. Thus spoke Zarathustra. So, solitude can help you get rid of some of those flies in your life, buzzing about, flattering you, helping you to avoid their baseness and their invisible revenge, helping for you to not to be taken advantage of, to shoo flies that are all around you, but also not to be the one who goes about the marketplace shooing all the flies, trying to help protect everyone. You're not the fly manager. That's a very unique line. Okay, now this next section is on chastity. I love the forest. It is bad to live in cities, that's true. I love it. Yeah, I agree. There too many are in heat. Yeah, so when an animal's in heat, it means they're ready to mate. But also you could look at it as in heat as in anger. It is not better to fall into the hands of a murderer than into the dreams of a woman in heat. Yeah. And behold these men, their eyes say it. They know of nothing better on earth than to lie with the woman. Mud is at the bottom of their souls, and woe if their mud also has spirit. Would that you were as perfect as animals at least, but animals have innocence. Now this is interesting because mindless cows sometimes, not having intentions for malice, just really trusting sometimes, spooked really easy, whereas adults have more of a innocence for a time and in a degree and context, but there's always that underlying thing within us that can kind of make us get envious or plot or things like that, to where we're not so innocent. Whereas like a guinea pig is kind of mindless, right? I had 2 pet guinea pigs who have long since passed away. When you look at them, they're very innocent, they're very docile, they don't know nothing. Whereas your deviant neighbor, well, that's quite uninnocent, isn't it? Do I counsel you to slay your senses? I counsel the innocence of the senses. So do I counsel you to slay your senses? I counsel the innocence of the senses. So to make your senses not disappear, not to be totally numb, but to be more innocent. Now that's quite unique. So chastity. So this is about chastity. So you would have more chastity in the forest than in the cities. And if you know you're more likely in the city to fall into the hands of a murderer than a loving woman, well, you better find the way out of there. Mud is at the bottom of their souls. So it's sticky, deprived, covers yourself, doesn't look nice. Their mud, woe if their mud also has spirit. There's a lot of Native American lore and about, animated mud. After all, it's in Islam, humans being created from clay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving us life. So that's kind of a religious reference as well, I would argue. A multi-layered example. Very unique, this section. What do you think? We got into a lot, especially about the poisonous flies of the marketplace. It's not our job to shoot flies. We're getting on to chastity. What do you think? Let me know. By the way, if you'd like to join my blog, it's www.subscribestar.com/MilahanArchive. I post a lot of great things on there, and I hope to see you there. Take care.